If you've spent any real time with your hands in the soil, you already know this truth. Great harvests don't start with seeds, they start with air. Soil aeration is the silent engine behind root health, microbial life, water management, and nutrient uptake. On Soilpower, we talk a lot about building living soil, not just feeding plants, and two soil amendments are constantly brought up in that conversation: worm castings and biochar. Both are legendary, both are misunderstood, and both improve soil aeration but in completely different ways. So today, let's settle this once and for all, not with hype or marketing fluff but with real hands-on gardening logic. By the end of this article, you'll know exactly when to use worm castings, when biochar shines, and why the smartest gardeners often use both. Soil aeration is simply the presence of air spaces between soil particles. Roots need oxygen to respire, microbes need oxygen to function, and water needs pathways to drain instead of stagnating. When soil becomes compacted, everything slows down. Roots suffocate, microbes die off, and nutrients become locked away. Most gardeners try to fix poor aeration with tilling or digging. That works temporarily, but it destroys soil structure long-term. Amendments like worm castings and biochar, on the other hand, improve aeration from the inside, building stable pore spaces that last. Worm castings are not just digested organic matter, they are biologically active soil architecture. When worms consume organic material, they don't just break it down, they restructure it. Castings form tiny, stable aggregates that naturally create micro-air pockets throughout the soil. These aggregates resist compaction far better than raw compost or garden soil alone. When you add worm castings, you're not forcing air into the soil, you're letting biology do the work. What makes castings especially powerful for aeration is their moisture balance. They hold water like a sponge, but never become waterlogged. This balance keeps air and water moving together, which is exactly what roots want. For gardeners working with raised beds, container gardens, or intensively planted spaces, worm castings provide immediate, noticeable improvements. Soil becomes softer, darker, and easier to work within weeks, not years. Biochar plays a completely different game. Where worm castings are alive, biochar is structural. Produced by heating organic material in low oxygen, biochar becomes a rigid, carbon-rich framework full of microscopic pores. These pores don't collapse under pressure, they don't break down quickly, they stay in the soil for decades, sometimes centuries. From an aeration standpoint, biochar acts like a permanent scaffold. It creates long-lasting air channels that roots and microbes can occupy year after year. In compacted clay soils, this is a game-changer. Instead of fighting compaction every season, biochar slowly rewires the soil's physical structure. However, and this is critical, raw biochar can actually steal nutrients and moisture at first. That's why experienced gardeners always charge biochar before applying it. Here's where many gardeners get confused. They add biochar and expect instant results like compost or castings, and then feel disappointed. Worm castings deliver fast feedback, plants respond quickly, leaves green up, soil feels better almost immediately. That's because castings are biologically active and nutrient-rich right out of the gate. Biochar is slow magic. Its aeration benefits really increase over time as roots grow into its pores and microbes start colonizing its surface. The real payoff, honestly, shows up seasons later, when your soil just refuses to compact, drains beautifully, and holds moisture even during those tough droughts. If you're starting a new garden bed or maybe rehabilitating some really abused soil, biochar is an investment. Worm castings, on the other hand, are a boost. Both matter, but, timing matters more. Aeration is honestly inseparable from water management. Worm castings really excel at buffering those extremes. In sandy soils, they increase water retention while still allowing airflow, and in heavy soils, they loosen the structure just enough to prevent waterlogging. Biochar, on the other hand, creates drainage pathways that don't disappear. In flood-prone or compacted ground, biochar dramatically improves infiltration. Water moves down instead of pooling, pulling oxygen along with it. In dry climates, charged biochar acts like a moisture battery. Its pores store water and release it slowly to plant roots. Combined with worm castings, this creates a soil environment that stays airy without drying out, a rare and powerful balance. Aeration isn't just physical. Bogdax isn't finsam, upo isn't just it's biological. Worm castings are loaded with beneficial microbes that actively build soil structure. These microbes produce sticky substances that glue soil particles together into stable aggregates, increasing pore space naturally. Biochar offers microbes a permanent home. Its massive surface area provides shelter where bacteria and fungi can thrive, protected from predators and environmental stress. This is why the combination of worm castings and biochar is so powerful. Castings inoculate the soil with life. Biochar gives that life somewhere to live long-term. Together, they create self-sustaining aeration. To get real aeration benefits, worm castings should be blended into the root zone, not just sprinkled on top. In raised beds and containers, mixing 10 to 20% castings into the soil creates immediate softness and root-friendly structure. For in-ground beds, top dressing works surprisingly well. Earthworms and water movement pull castings down naturally, improving aeration without disturbing soil layers. Repeated small applications outperform one heavy dose. Think of castings as biological maintenance, not a one-time fix. Never apply raw biochar alone. Always pre-charge it using compost, worm castings, compost tea, urine dilution, or nutrient-rich water. This step turns biochar from a nutrient sponge into a nutrient reservoir. Once charged, go ahead and mix biochar deeply into the soil where compaction is worst. Rates of 5 to 10% by volume are more than enough for most gardens. Biochar is not seasonal, it's foundational. Apply it once, and then just let time do the rest. If we're being honest, this isn't a battle, it's a partnership. Worm castings win for immediate aeration, biological activity, and plant response. Biochar wins for permanent structure, deep soil rehabilitation, and long-term resilience. So, beginner gardeners will feel way more confident starting with worm castings. And, experienced gardeners who are looking to future-proof their soil will really appreciate biochar's slow structural power. But honestly, the real soil power move, use both. Castings bring life. Biochar gives that life a home, and together they create soil that breathes, feeds, and even heals itself. Healthy soil isn't built overnight. And let's be real, it isn't built with shortcuts. Worm castings and biochar each teach us a deeper lesson about gardening. Work with biology, respect structure, and always think long-term. If this article helped you see your soil a little differently, well, that's exactly what Soilpower is all about. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, share this with a fellow gardener, and keep spreading the knowledge because living soil grows more than just plants.